Hello, welcome to the Nightly News. I'm your host, Dalton Arnette. We have a great show for you today, so let's get to it. We begin tonight with a look at how Russia's invasion of Ukraine is affecting us here at home. Hannah Koch has that story.
Thanks, Dalton. The impacts of the Russian invasion have been hitting closer to home as many Americans, myself included, have been dreading filling their gas tanks with these record-breaking prices. But what does the invasion of Ukraine have to do with gas prices, and is there a relief in sight? Russia is the third largest producer of crude oil in the world, and it's one of the country's largest revenue streams. In America, we mostly rely on imported oil. However, to show support for Ukraine as a part of the sanctions against invaders and to threaten the Russian economy, President Biden has recently put an end to Russian oil in the United States. While the United States only imports 3% of its crude oil from Russia, the ban has caused crude oil barrels to skyrocket. Prices that were once at $60 a barrel are now reaching $120, and this price might even rise as the European Union considers joining America in its ban of Russian oil. For Greenville, this has meant an average of $4 a gallon this past month, which is actually quite low compared to the national average of $4.2 a gallon, and that doesn't even compare to some parts of the world that are reaching $8 a gallon. Hopefully, we'll begin to see a dip in these prices, but until we do, here are quick tips on how to save on gas. First of all, don't speed and don't idle your engine, and download the app Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy is an app that helps you locate the cheapest and closest gas. For us at Furman, our closest and cheapest gas is on the Walmart on Old Buncombe Road, with gas at $3.77 a gallon now. And let's hope this is a beginning to the relief we've all been waiting for. Dalton, back to you.
As people the world over are speaking up about the conflict in Ukraine, Furman students followed suit by speaking up about things they care about on campus. Kayla Patterson has more from World Speech Day.
Critical race theory, while incredibly controversial, should be taught in K-12 schools, so students can grow into well-rounded citizens in this country.
During World Speech Day, almost 30 Furman students used the platform to teach our community about issues they care about. Junior Gracie Campbell won an award for her speech on the importance of critical race theory to be taught in classrooms.
I was hoping that my listeners just recognize how important it is, just because of the fact that in schools it's important to be learning what has happened in history so that doesn't repeat itself, but also the importance of getting to know your students as people so that way you can have more culturally responsive teaching, because your classroom should appeal to all of the students inside of it. And so that was something that I really felt was important and something that I wanted to make sure was communicated to people.
Emily Little, a sophomore, advocated for athlete registration priority.
A lot of times it's really hard for us to get into the classes we need to take, and it's not just a problem here at Furman, it's a problem at a lot of universities.
Speeches covered everything from body positivity, gun control, to parking on campus, and where the student handbook needs to be changed. World Speech Day is celebrated all around the world, and each year it gets bigger and bigger. Furman has participated for more than 4 years now.
As you polish your soul, so too do you polish your bronze exterior. Care for your soul, my love, and your body will respond.
Thanks, Kayla. It's great to see our Furman students speaking up about issues they're passionate about. Furman University is continuously taking action to promote and ensure this is an inclusive campus for all. As I found out in this next story, the James B. Duke Library is continuing this mission in its own unique way.
Over the past few years, Furman has made headway in recognizing and rectifying its past through meaningful change. Through sensitivity measures, community involvement, and further education, Furman University aims to provide a safe and inclusive environment for all. While all of these steps are wonderful additions to Furman's overall progress, Dr. Neci Marcano saw an opportunity to address Furman's legacy through an extensive audit of the university's archive.
We want to make sure that our digital collections are welcoming, that they're reflecting a diversity of experiences, identities, and backgrounds here at Furman, and that they're accessible to all users.
The audit, which will encompass Furman's extensive collection, spanning the school's history, will attach disclaimers to pieces with outdated or sensitive content. Dr. Marcano and her team are focused on addressing content that may impact various communities and identities through collaborative measures.
And I've been in contact with professors from communication studies, from art, from history, anthropology, because we need all these vantage points, also all the disciplinary lenses that we could use to assess our collections.
While the audit itself is already in Phase 1 with a sweeping appraisal of Furman's yearbook collection underway, Dr. Marcano expresses the need for a careful and deliberate process to ensure the best outcome for all.
We're hoping long term to have a sustained conversation with the community about how they speak about different topics. Some topics are very difficult, like race. How do they like to describe themselves? How do they like to be represented? And so we want our users to feel that they're part of this creation of collections.
Thanks to the work from the folks at the Special Collections and Archives Department at the James B. Duke Library, the missteps of the past can be used to educate and inform our future.
We look forward to seeing this monumental change take shape in the near future. This week, we have some great opportunities for you to attend some CLPs, including the last two in the film series sponsored by the Comm Studies Department and the Humanities Center. On Friday, March 25th at 6:30, Street Reporter, a film that shows the power of community of journalism in a woman's life. That will be in Burgess Theater. Then on Tuesday, March 29th, An Ordinary Hero, where students will watch parts of two award-winning documentaries. One about the history of institutional racism and the other about the civil rights icon, Joan Trumpauer Mulholland. This will be at 5 in Watkins. Lastly, on Wednesday at 5 in Patrick Lecture Hall, Dr. Deirdre Cooper Owens will discuss her first book, Medical Bondage, that explores how and why gynecologists in the 19th century denied women their humanity and valued them more as medical superior bodies suited for medical experimentation. For more CLP opportunities this week, check the calendar online. One of Furman's most popular events is coming back to campus this week. On Tuesday, March 29th, Zeta is hosting their annual Big Man on Campus event. It is an all-male pageant where different organizations from across Furman's campus can sign up one contestant to put in the show. All proceeds go toward breast cancer education and awareness. To buy a ticket, reach out to a Zeta in one of your classes. This week, make sure to stop by the Trone Student Center for more fun events to help raise money for Big Man on Campus. FUSAB has several upcoming events, starting with an arts market on Thursday from 5 to 7, where you can purchase items from students with small businesses. Then, on Saturday, students who entered the raffle will have the chance to take a day trip to Asheville and visit the French Broad Chocolate Factory, as well as the Jerusalem Garden Cafe. This past weekend, the art program kicked off their exhibition where the senior art majors can show off their work for friends and family, and possibly even sell some pieces along the way. The first round of seniors' artwork will be up from April 9th, and then on April 12th, the second round of seniors will show their artwork.
Senior art majors have a senior seminar. We had ours last fall, and throughout the fall, we set up, we start producing artwork that has a theme that we've decided on. Mine is about my journey with ADD and how I've grown with it, with Adderall, and then deciding not to take Adderall, and just that process of trying to understand how I focus and how my brain works.
Be sure to check out the art show. It'll be running for a couple weeks and should be a great addition to the Furman art program. March is Women's History Month, so we have 3 female reporters who found some exceptional dens you know. To honor this month, Hannah Koch has those stories.
Dalton, though this campus is full of incredibly talented women, these 3 just might top the charts. We begin with the person at the top. Sydney Stevens sat down with Furman President Dr. Elizabeth Davis.
Since 2014, Dr. Elizabeth Davis has not only served as the president of our university, but Furman's first female president. Dr. Davis has had an accomplished career and won numerous awards and recognition for her institution, the Furman Advantage, and her influence in the community. She was even named one of Greenville's top 50 influential people by Greenville Business Magazine. No one gets to the top alone, and Dr. Davis has had many influences in her life that led her to this position.
Besides a supportive family environment where I was never presumed to follow a certain path, one of the first things that I think was impactful was that I went to an all-girls high school. And so girls were always presidents, and I was drum major. And there was never any indication that women couldn't do something.
Another huge support is her partner in life, Dr. Charles Davis.
So it's really, my role is to make her life as easy as I can. So anything I can take off her plate, which I can't do about all the presidential things, but all the other things, then I hopefully can take care of all that so she doesn't have to worry about it.
Even with all of the support from her husband, this groundbreaking female leader has had her share of unique challenges.
You know, some of the other things I think have been, you know, people just not knowing who the president was, so they'd always go to Charles whenever, you know, we'd be there together. Things around athletics, whatever decisions are made around athletics always have to do with me being a woman, you know, if they're not positive, as opposed to being able to think holistically about the institution. Honestly, it helps being tall, and it helps having a financial background, because that gives me a lot of credibility, and I can look eye to eye. So even though I'm tall, I will wear heels so that I can, you know, have that parity of height.
Thanks, Sydney. President Davis is breaking the glass ceiling and paving the way for future female leaders to come. Junior Isabel Clinton is playing a different part in the history of Furman. Our own Caroline Brickle has that story.
Isabella Clinton is single-handedly the only Hart major here on campus. Though it's been a long road that had started at the age of 5, it all began with her mother, a flutist, fell in love with the song and made a vow.
There was one piece, which is the Concerto for Flute and Harp, that she heard in college, and she vowed to herself, if I ever have a daughter, she's going to play the harp.
A reluctant participant at first, the harp has become one string of continuous joy in Isabella's life.
It's like therapeutic when you pluck the strings, and I love the sound, so I feel like I grew to love it, and once it wasn't as forced.
But even through her devotion to the instrument, there were some difficulties she faced once becoming a Hart major here at Furman.
It's like adjusting to like the social life and managing your time, super important in order to excel at the instrument.
One harpist that inspired Isabella's journey to keep plucking through those difficulties is the famous harpist, Gracie Sprout, who performed in the most unlikely place, Super Bowl 56.
It just shows the diverse music that you can play, not just classical, but you can do jazz or modern or like R&B music.
Isabella brings diversity to every stage she graces, while finding her own identity under the lights in front of a crowd.
To hear Isabel play, keep a lookout for the next orchestra concert before the semester's over. To end this week's segment of Dens You Know, Alexis Hildenbrandt ran to catch this story about Sydney Beason, who is going the extra mile to fight against cancer.
Me, when I was sick, I didn't even recognize my body. It felt like my body had failed me, and running became how I was able to be back in my own skin and really feel like I had control over my own body again. So I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 17 years old, and 2 years prior to that, my mom had been diagnosed with cancer.
With each stride Sydney takes, she is motivated to give back to the cancer community.
So this summer I'm running in the 4K for Cancer, which is a race from Baltimore, Maryland to San Francisco, California. There's a group of 10 of us running, so each of us will run anywhere from 12 to 16 miles every day, each day for 8 weeks. And during the day we run from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then at night we go into hospitals and work directly with cancer patients in order to help build community from quite literally the coast to the other coast.
Sydney's training process includes running 5 to 10 miles a day, along with cross-training exercises for muscle building. Where some may view this as a chore, she views it as a blessing.
When you aren't able to run for so long, and like walking is hard, there were weeks where I didn't move a muscle. My friends would wheel my IV cart and I would just walk to the end of the hallway, and that was like a celebration. That then once you're able to start moving again, you never take that for granted.
Take the steps to support Sydney as she runs across the country. Follow her Instagram at Sydney Beason and click on the link in the bio. We will also have the link on our YouTube channel. Dalton, that does it for Dens You Know this week.
Well, those are some amazing women, and Sydney's running across the country is quite the feat. Well, that's a great transition to this week's sports. Kyra, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Dalton. We have a lot to cover, but first, we have some breaking news for you. Many of you may have heard a rumor that Coach Bob Ritchie was leaving Furman to go to the University of South Carolina. We looked into it, and here's the tea. Jason Donnelly confirmed for us that USC was courting Coach Ritchie, but he has decided to stay here with the Paladins. Last summer, big news came from the NCAA that student athletes were finally able to make a profit of their name, image, and likeness for the first time ever. Let's look into how Furman athletes have taken advantage of this new rule.
Student athletes can now profit off their name to the NCAA. Jeff Perry is the Director of Compliance for Furman Athletics.
I'm in charge of the NIL, so if any deals or opportunities come for athletes to use their name, image, or their likeness to make money or to get sponsorship deals, then I'm there to help that happen.
NIL stands for Name, Image, and Likeness. The NCAA passed this in the summer of 2021 after years of backlash for exploiting student athletes. Student athletes can now sign autographs, promote other companies, be featured in video games, and participate in social media endorsements.
Furman, most of the deals that have gone down are an athlete being approached by a sponsor or a company, and that company giving them some type of a product or a gift card, and then saying, okay, now go out and post content or wear our product.
One athlete that quickly jumped on the opportunity to make a name for herself was junior tennis player Madison Dillon. She knew the perfect company to partner with on and off the court, and she is using social media to help promote herself and the brand.
So when the NIL deal started opening up over the summer, I was just really excited to be partnered with a brand that I would maybe associate myself with on the tennis court. So I got into contact with Liquid IV just because I think it's healthier than Gatorade, and I used it myself, and I thought it would be really cool to be part of a partnership that involves something I would use all the time. I think that NIL deals will definitely change the game for college athletes. I think it just makes these athletes feel a little bit more special in a way that they can use their brand and image to help them. Like I said, with Liquid IV, it helps me stay hydrated and makes me feel like I'm exploiting my name and Furman in a positive way as well.
NIL rules are changing the way student athletes are being portrayed and allowing them to finally make money off themselves. We are sure to see more athletes take advantage of NIL like Madison Dillon in the future. 2 Paladin basketball seniors were given great honors this week to add on to their already impressive records. The National Association of Basketball Coaches named Jalen Slauson All-District 21 First Team. This is Slauson's first NABC recognition. Mike Bothwell earned second team honors. This is his second time being recognized after being named first team last season. A big congrats to these 2 amazing players. This week in sports, women's tennis will face Wofford at 3:30 this Thursday. And on Saturday, football makes a return for the Paladins in their purple and white spring game at 1 p.m. at Paladin Stadium. Then on Wednesday, March 30th, women's lacrosse will go against Wofford at 6 p.m. That's all we have for sports. I'm Kyra Cox. Back to you, Dalton.
Well, believe it or not, spring has sprung, and it seems like Furman students have developed quite the green thumb just in time. This past week, FUSAB hosted a build-your-own terrarium demonstration outside of the Duke Library. With over 200 terrariums created, FUSAB quickly ran out of supplies. If you didn't get a chance to enjoy the terrarium showcase, we urge you to attend FUSAB's Arts Market on March 24th. Visit the FUSAB Instagram for more information on that. Well, that does it for us at the Nightly News. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Dalton Arnette. Have a great weekend, everyone.